that the idea of a bizonal, bifederal Cyprus is no longer possible. And the experience in Cyprus since 1960, but particularly since 2004-5, proves that there was a perfectly workable constitution agreed as a precursor to independence in 1960. That was honoured in the breach increasingly by the Greek Cypriots, and then by the colonels in Greece itself, who wished to see Enosis unity with the whole of the island of Cyprus in 1974, and there was terrible massacres of the Turkish Cypriots. Rolling forward, a huge amount of work was put in by the United Nations, by Kofi Annan, his special representatives, by the United Kingdom government, many others, to develop a workable plan, which was put to the parties at Bergenstock in 2004. And it was signed up to not only by the North, but also by the Greek Cypriots. And then bluntly, so-called President Papadopoulos ratted on that, tore up what he'd agreed, and campaigned against a referendum to which he had been committed. The big mistake made by the European Union, of which I was a part, and I kicked myself for this, is allowing a divided Cyprus to come into the European Union as a single entity. And from that, a huge amount of trouble, I'm afraid, has flown. Where we now are is that there is absolutely no incentive for Greek Cyprus to go for any kind of power sharing. The status quo absolutely suits them. They technically, in international law, represent the whole of the island, hence the arguments about hydrocarbons around the island. They've got the European Union in their paw, and any bizonal, bifederal structure would involve them diluting the power that they have for not very much. And there are some Greek Cypriots, of course, who think that it's essential that they go down that route, but they will never gain any political traction within their system. So a two-state solution, which is, after all, the solution which has been done elsewhere in the world in the last 20 years, is, in my view, both sensible and necessary. The question is how you get there, and that requires TRNC and Turkey and the friends of both better to argue why there is this situation and to ensure that history is not, frankly, just written by the Greek Cypriots. There are a lot of interests to overcome. Russia will stick to the Greek Cypriots like glue for a whole variety of both historical, religious, and these days financial reasons, given the way that Greek Cyprus has become a subsidiary of Russian finance. And if you look at the extraordinary amounts of money that go through the Greek Cypriot banking system, not for their purposes, but basically washing money from Russia. But they have a problem with them because they sit on the Security Council. I'm not clear where China is on this, but it would be interesting. They probably want to make a certain amount of mischief out of the situation. There's a difficulty with the United Kingdom. When I wrote about this in 2013-14 in articles in the Times and elsewhere and spoke about it, quite a lot of colleagues on both sides, including those in very senior positions, came up to me and said privately they agreed with me, but they didn't see how the United Kingdom could shift its position. It requires others to shift as well. Part of that just fact of life is that the United Kingdom has a sovereign bases, and they're in the south, in the Greek Cypriot part of the country. And you may or may not regret the fact that they're there, but they are our sovereign bases. They are British land. That's easy to say, but very, very difficult to defend them were there an invasion, for example, by the Greek Cypriot populace onto them. So that has to be borne in mind. And it goes back to my point. I'm not in any doubt that a two-state solution is the only answer. And it's it's the only answer if you want a settlement on this island, because the Greek Cypriots have made any alternative impossible. And it's also the only answer in terms of justice for the Turkish Cypriots. But to get there, it's about making, the solution is straightforward. It's about making the argument and trying to shift international opinion, including in Washington, let me say, because at the moment, the default setting of those is, well, Turkey invaded. There wasn't really any reason for Turkey to invade, as if even Turkey was going to invade just for the devil of it. But Turkey invaded, and it's been occupying this territory ever since, and they should be cleared off. Well, that's not going to happen for kickoff, and it's a rewriting of terrible abuse by the Greek colonels and their acolytes in Greek Cyprus against the Turkish Cypriot community.